Hello, hello. Happy Saturday, everyone. So you're in for a treat today. I'm having Masako Kozawa on from podcast Why Not Meditate. So I'm super excited to have her here today. I am a little late because I had to make a makeshift tripod. I managed to break both of my tripods right before this. I know. And so I had to balance my phone on my dry erase board. So the angle is a little funky, that's why. But I'm gonna reintroduce myself in case you're new here. My name is Presh. I'm a certified life coach, and I help highly sensitives and empaths on their pursuit of peace and purpose. And so I thought it would be fun to have Masako on here today because she has her podcast, Why Not Meditate? And meditation's so important on your pursuit of peace and purpose. It really helps you listen to your inner knowing and really calm down your nervous system. So when you're doing new, scary things, it's going to be important to know how to come back to center and then also, follow your intuition so that you are on your unique path that you're meant to take here in this beautiful life. So I am going to welcome Masako on. There she is. This is my first time hosting somebody on Instagram Live. So hopefully this is a seamless transition here. Okay. All right, she should be popping on soon. Just being empath. So that is always fun to talk to another HSP.
Good. How
Hi, Masako. How are you? I'm good. Thanks. Sorry for the delay. I was trying to.
I know things happen, so no worries.
Yeah. Oh, good morning. Someone's saying good morning. Good morning, PJ. So Masako, thank you for being here with me today. I wanted to just talk about, what you're doing. You're doing so many beautiful things. Talk about your Why Not Meditate podcast, which is so amazing. So can you just tell us a little bit about your podcast?
Well, thank you so much for the introduction. Yes, I started a podcast called Why Not Meditate about a year ago. It's been a little over a year. And Presh, you've been a guest on my podcast. I think it was episode 36 sometime last year. And the reason why I started meditation podcast about meditation, is because meditation has been really the biggest game changer in my own life. And I wanted to share that good news to as many people as possible. And I never thought that I would do a podcast, to be completely honest with you. I never thought it would last for a year either.
That's amazing. That's incredible. Keeping up that long. That takes
Yes, but it has become more than just a podcast. I never really knew what to expect when I started podcasting, this journey of podcasting. And yes, I had to learn new skills. Yes, I had to do something I've never done before. I had so much resistance about just doing a podcast. I had thousands of reasons not to do it. And I didn't really have many reasons to do a podcast. But when I sat down and really became quiet and then started listening to my heart, that's what meditation allows you to do, right? You become aware of your thoughts. And when I did that, it was like the answer was inside of me already. Yes, you want to talk about meditation. You want to spread the good news because that has helped you so much. It's going to help so many other people. So yes, that journey has been profound, to say the least. I didn't like how I sounded. English is my second language, and I never thought that I would do a public speaking, so to speak. But as I started sharing my own voice, I started like liking my own voice. And I think that was the biggest win for myself.
Oh, that's so beautiful. I love your voice. It's so soothing. Your voice is like a meditation on
Thank
its own.
you. I
So,
never
yeah,
thought that.
hmm, yeah, yeah. That's crazy to hear because it's so clear, I'm sure to everyone listening that your voice is just so soothing. Um, so what, I know you said it came from the heart. So what allowed you to push through that resistance ultimately to start the podcast? I know you're motivated to tell other people about it. Um, I should ask, how has meditation changed your
Ah,
life?
in so many ways. I I guess the biggest impact, biggest change has been having this space between me, this physical me, and me who is observing this physical me. Before, I was consumed by my own thoughts and my feelings. There was no distance between me feeling it and the feelings that I was feeling. And like you and I are highly sensitive and empath, and we get just really consumed by other people's feelings and thoughts. And sometimes we don't know which thoughts and feelings are ours and which ones are somebody else's. So having a way to really observe what's mine and what's not mine, and also within what's mine, what is actually serving me and what is not. Having that ability to discern, that has been, I guess, the biggest impact. Because when you know what's serving me and what's not serving me, then I can make a decision. I can pick a thought. I can create a new thought. I never knew that I could do it before I started meditating. And I never knew when I started meditating, I never knew that would be one of the benefits.
Yeah, I think it's difficult to know too until you start meditating. How did you learn how to meditate? I know a lot of people kind of when they're starting off, they feel a lot of pressure to get it right. So how did you do
Yes,
that?
I hear you. I was just desperate at that point. That was about like 7, 8 years ago. And I was willing to try anything to just feel better, just feel a little bit of relief. So when I was going through that phase, I started reading about meditation. Like some people were talking about like this has really been a game changer in my life. So I thought I'm just gonna try it. And I didn't know how. I didn't know a proper way. So I just like Googled it or searched it in YouTube and started listening to it. And I found the voices that I liked and I started listening to them. And I didn't know if it was working for me or not at the beginning, but I guess like maybe like a few months later, there was a moment when I caught myself like, wait, is this the benefit of the meditation that I've been doing without knowing how? So
Yeah.
from there, I just found um, more evidence how meditation has been positively impacting my own life. And I read some books and I also, consumed a lot of information. And also I went into meditation studio. There was a studio in downtown Chicago and they were offering like 30 minutes meditation sessions every day. And whenever I had some time, it was really close to my former office building. So I would just go there and then take some classes and ask questions to teachers like, what is this? Like, how do I do this? And it was just one breadcrumb at a time that I just followed. And one day I saw an advertisement at the studio that they were offering teacher training. And I'm like, I have no desire to teach or facilitate meditation, but I am so curious how much I can deepen my own practice and then what's going to happen if I did that. So I just decided to take the training. It was a 3 months course. And yeah, so I just followed my curiosity.
Yeah, I love that, following curiosity. Yeah, and I think when you're really starting off, I think just being able to sit and be quiet alone, whether, even if you get distracted with your own thoughts, just the practice of sitting down and intentionally trying to clear your mind is so powerful. That's just the beginning of it. And it really doesn't have to be difficult, but just knowing that, because our brains are always running, we're always busy, just taking the time to sit still, that itself is really powerful. So yeah, I just want to remind people that, because I know they get intimidated, but I feel like there's no really right or wrong way to
No,
meditate,
no,
right?
just do it and then you will start getting a hang of it. And then that's like one of the things that you learn too. Like you realize that you are being judgmental when you are sitting down with yourself and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I must be doing wrong. Just noticing that thought is a first step, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, that's like phase one. There should be different of meditating. Like, one, I don't know what I'm doing. This feels like a waste of time. And then realizing it's not a waste of time and that you're actually benefiting from it. Kind of like you said, you realize that all of a sudden you were benefiting from it, even though you didn't realize in the moment maybe
Yeah.
that you were benefiting from it. Have you had any like breakthroughs? I know I personally get like these divine downloads when I'm meditating, and these like breakthroughs that just come through. Has meditation done that for you? Can you think of like one specific instance maybe
Hmm.
as an
I
example?
think to me, it has not been anything like a lightning moment, but it's more subtle. And I would notice it
Mhm.
afterward. Like, wait, did that come from because I was meditating? Because I was more aware of things that now I can notice things. Maybe the messages were always there around me, but I just was not looking at it or hearing it because my perception was narrower. What meditation has done is to
Mhm.
expand my own awareness, perception, so that I can see better and more. And then I can notice. We cannot notice what we don't see, you know?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Um, I don't know if you can relate to this or not. I'm not diagnosed as having ADHD, but I definitely, definitely, and I feel like meditation helps with that too. It's like being able to like slowly be able to like process things and be aware of what's happening, and then also being able to come back to center and focusing on
Yeah.
like one thing at a
Like
time.
realizing that, well, wait, I might have ADD or ADHD. That's the first step too, right? Because we might not know. We might not notice.
Yeah, I think meditation brings that out too. It's like, wow, this
Yeah.
is a different way of life. I can focus now. No, it's beautiful. Yeah. So I know you've gone through some life changes recently. So you used
Yes.
to live in Chicago, correct? And now you beautiful sunny
Yes.
Florida. How, what has that been like
Oh my
moving?
goodness. It's been a drastic change in every single way that I can think of. Not just the location, but toward the end of 2021, I left the industry, legal industry that I was working in for 15 plus years. So that was really the main reason why I was in Chicago to begin with. And when that was gone, I didn't really have a reason to stay in that area anymore. And also, after living in one place for many years, like you get used to it and you're ready for a change. So I grew up in Japan. I lived in
Hmm.
Japan the first 21 years of my life, and I was ready for a change. So I left the country and I came to the United States, and I lived in like a few different states, and Chicago was the place where I lived for most of the time in my time in the United States. But yeah, it was like time for a change. Like things started showing up as a sign that, hey, you're done with this phase of your life. You can now like start something new. Like, what do you want? So I picked a few different states, and luckily I had the flexibility to do that. And Arizona was one of the states that I was considering.
Oh,
I can
that's
always
okay.
visit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
Yes.
visit you in Florida.
So leaving the industry, switching a career was like the big move too. And mentally, physically, emotionally, yeah, it's been a huge change. And I had to like really take time and slow down to get used to the different life. Because I didn't know this until I left the industry, and I until I left the city, I was very much stressed out, but I did not know that I was.
Wow. Is it because you're surrounded by stressed out people, so it just became the
Things were
norm,
like
or?
very loud and noisy in the city. Everything is always happening at a really fast pace, and I was just so used to that environment. I never really questioned it. But once I left that environment, I realized, oh my gosh, my nervous system was actually suffering from that. And it
Mm,
has taken me a long time to adjust my nervous system.
yeah. Do you think meditation had anything to do with the realization that you didn't want to
Yeah,
be there anymore?
yes, because I was able to observe what was happening around me from a
Hmm.
distance. So, like, okay, this is happening. I wonder why, but that's also happening. I wonder why, and what am I doing with those changes? If I had not been so like observant, I would have taken everything personally and made it
Hmm.
out of like this is happening to me almost, instead of seeing it like, huh, is this happening for me? Maybe. What do I want to make this, like, what's the meaning that I want to attach? So I took it as an opportunity for me to start a new chapter in life. And that's what meditation does. You become more empowered, less of a victim of circumstances, because you now know that you have control of your thoughts, how you see yourself, what kind of life that you see that you are living, and then from there you can make more empowered decisions.
I love that. Yeah. And just you talking about that and reflecting on that reminds me of just all of your Instagram posts. I love reading them because they're just so reflective. I feel like I almost get kind of like a piece of your own experience, like mirroring kind of it, like, and being able to process and learn something from it. There are the different elements like fire, water, air, and I feel like your posts are very like water, like water's typically deep and reflective, and I don't know, I
Thank
just love
you.
it. So you don't follow. What's your Instagram handle again?
Yes,
It's your
it's
first and last
Masako
name, right?
Kozawa underscore painting. And it's funny that you mentioned
Love it.
water because
Yeah.
I'm a water sign. I'm a Cancer. Yeah.
You're a Cancer?
Oh,
I'm a Cancer
I'm not
too.
surprised.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, that's why we get along.
Me
I
too.
love water signs. Yeah. Yeah. So go check out her posts. They're so beautiful and reflective. And you've done
Yeah.
photography too, right? You're kind of like a photographer. So it's like you get the the beautiful perspective of like the photo and then like just the content as well, just beautiful. So definitely follow with that. And what else have you been up to? So you have your podcast. Don't you have a journal too? Sorry, Zora.
Yes. So I've been doing iPhone photography for, I would say, as long as I had an iPhone, so maybe 10 years now. And I never knew iPhone photography was a thing until one of my ex-colleagues mentioned, hey, like there's an iPhone photography contest going. I love your photos. Why don't you submit your photos? So I'm like, oh, sure, why not? Like I never knew my photography was good or anything like that. I was just having fun taking photos with my phone. And as I had the opportunity to submit it, and it was picked as one of the, like 30 best photos of the week or 100 photos of the year, or like they had different categories. And then I thought, well, like other people like my photos too. And from there, I kind of started learning about photography, and I was just curious, like what makes one photo more like inspiring than others? Like when I see like two beautifully captured photos and one would speak to me and the other doesn't, and I wanted to know like why. And so I kind of got into that area and started like kind of like self-studying photography. And it also that went hand in hand with meditation, because you cannot capture with your camera what you don't see or what you don't notice.
Wow. I love that so much.
So
wow. That needs to like quote. You need to like excerpt that from this and just put it somewhere. That is, no, I love that. I was going to ask how photography has like helped you on your spiritual journey. So it's kind of like just the perspective, like how you see things when you
how
take
I see
photographs.
things, what I see, what I notice things, because I mean, they were always there. I was just not noticing them. So I was not capturing them.
It gives me goosebumps. I don't know why. It's like everything like is emotional for me. Like just those realizations. Wow. I love that. And so you also have a journal, right?
Thank you for mentioning that. So one of my ex-colleagues who also mentioned that I should submit that photography to the contest, told me that I should like one day publish my photos and the words that I was sharing on Instagram. And that past year, since I had the time of transition, starting a new podcast or starting a new life, I thought, oh, like maybe I would do that. So this also like came out of just curiosity, following my curiosity. And this is the journal, and it's a mixture of like blank pages that you can journal, and then my photography and some of the words that I have written. Yes, it's available on Amazon right now, on Amazon only. So these are the photos that I have taken over the years and the writings that I have been doing without realizing that I was doing the writing. I just thought that I would just make it available for the people who might enjoy this. And journaling, you do journaling too. It also goes hand in hand with meditation.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like a lot of things come to you in the meditation that we can otherwise forget if we don't write it down. So I think just it doesn't even have to be a long process. Just like 5 minutes of journaling right after can make a difference. And you can always look back on it and just reflect. So yeah, part of the process, I think, huge part of the meditation process. So how would I find Amazon? The journal?
And also through my link, that link on my bio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, perfect. So it's on Instagram. click on the link in bio. All right. If you want the journal, it's in the link in bio. Oh, I love that so much. Do you have your own like journaling process
Sometimes
after you
I don't
meditate?
really follow the rigid like routine. I used to when I first started meditation, I had this very rigid morning routine. Like I wake up and then meditate for 20 minutes and then I do whatever. But that also became a little bit like too restrictive to me. It was a good way for me to
Right.
form a habit at the very beginning. But then I felt like, oh, like I am just doing this out of habit, out of like, oh, I have to do this. When maybe there's
Mm-hmm.
a sunrise happening outside, I would rather be watching the sunrise outside. But like since I decided I have to do meditation the first thing in the morning, I am just gonna sit here. And I felt like, no, this is not right. I should go outside and then watch the sunrise.
No, yeah, at that point, it's kind of almost counterproductive to like force
Yeah.
yourself to go and just
Yes. So
ease and
yeah,
everything.
journaling too. I don't really have a strict journaling routine. I don't do it every day. I do it when I feel like, oh, I need to write this down. Like this message, out of nowhere, it came to me. I need to write it down. Yeah.
Mhm. Do those messages usually come to you like during the meditation or usually
Um,
kind of after? Because I know
anytime. Yeah.
anytime. Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. Um, so I know you interview a lot of people for your podcast. Again, thank you for having me on a while ago. So like what have you, I'm sure you've spoken to a lot of different people, heard a lot of different
Yes.
perspectives on meditation and how it's helped them. So what have you learned from interviewing these people
Hmm.
about
Oh my
meditation?
gosh. Um, it is powerful. Meditation is powerful and it works for everybody. It doesn't matter which language you speak. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter if you started when you were little or when you were in your 50s. It does not matter. It works. It's effective. And it doesn't matter if you believed it would be effective or not. It works either way. And also, it's an investment with such a high return. I have not seen anything that has this much return on investment. And any minutes or hours that you have spent, let's say 10 years ago meditating, that has a cumulative effect over the course of your life. Nothing is wasted. So that's one thing I learned by just talking to the guests. And then they each have, profound, different, maybe subtle experience. So a
Mhm.
certain experience that you might listen to or read about might not be your own experience. It's very individually unique. So just have that in your mind when you start meditation process.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know I personally had some really, really bad anxiety before I started kind of like my coaching and the spiritual journey type of thing. And it had to do with focus. Like you'd be surprised with it's what you're focused on. And I think the idea of like toxic positivity, we think that, oh, I just need to have more positive thoughts. And it's like, no, not necessarily. You just need to redirect your brain when you're having certain thoughts and just observe and notice them and then have compassion for yourself. And I feel like meditation really helps you do that. Like you said, it helps you observe from kind of like dissociate from what you're currently thinking if you're caught in a thought loop, and observe it without judgment and really understand what's going on in your mind, and then redirecting your focus. So I highly recommend meditation too. If you're highly anxious, it's honestly a miracle
Definitely.
worker.
Yeah. I just went through like the last few months, I was really sad. Like life happens, like breakup
Mhm.
or whatever happens. And I knew that I could be sad and it was okay. Like in the past, there was a time when I felt like, well, I should get over this. I should not be sad. This is not productive. But after going through
Mhm.
that, the cycle of grieving, so to speak, a few times, you know that you're gonna get out of it one day. You know you're gonna get sick of feeling sad, and you'll be ready to think better thoughts. So like having that, like it's like kind of a, I don't know, parent inside of me, like soothing my own inner child, like, hey, it's okay, like feel sad. It's natural, it's part of the human process, human experience. And but knowing like you're gonna come out of this, so it's gonna be okay. You don't have to judge yourself so harshly. Life happens, and sometimes it sucks.
Mhm. I love that so much. That's another great point is it helps you process your emotions and just sit with them. And again, not have judgment, but just have compassion and really just feeling it all. And that's the quickest way to get through something and process something too. I know we're so used to having distractions when we're going through something difficult. Our instinct is, oh, I gotta do something, gotta distract myself. And it just delays your healing process until it finally catches up with you, and then you realize you have just a pile of different emotions you never processed, and it just makes everything worse. So yeah, meditating definitely helps you work through those emotions, sit with
Yeah.
it, and like heal more quickly. So many, I can't even count. But yeah, um is there anything else you want to share with the audience in terms of maybe your experiences or your
Mm.
podcast?
I mean, I always want to say, like, if you don't have a meditation practice, why not start? And now is the best time to start it rather than later. Because there's no bad side effects. There's only good side effects of meditation. And you
Mm-hmm.
don't even know how profound those great side effects are. I don't even know. I don't even understand how much of a magic that could bring to my life. But I'm curious enough and I'm fascinated enough and I've seen enough evidence so far to just stop it now. I've seen too much.
Yeah. No, it's funny when I'll admit, because I love meditation and I try to make it a daily practice, but every now and then I hit that point where it's like extra sleep, or like, is it really worth taking the time to meditate? And I'm like, I'm fine. I know how to process, I have other tools as a coach to like process things, which work really well. But then I just noticed, I'm like, no, I'm like, why do I even bother thinking that? Because I know the answer. The answer is no, you're going to benefit from meditating. So sit your butt down and just do it, even if it's like five
Yeah.
minutes. So
The length of time
yeah.
is not as important as the consistency, I would say. Yeah, just like brushing our teeth, you know?
Mhm. Yeah, exactly. I have a client, and she meditates regularly, but like any other human, sometimes we get off track and we're like, it's like too much to work into my daily routine. So in the first 5 minutes of the call, we just did a 5 minute meditation and then 5 minutes of journaling. She's like, that was so powerful. I didn't realize how easy it can be just to do it quickly, and it still has an impact. It's like, exactly, it's not about time. It's
Yeah.
all a mental game. It's all our thoughts. Like, we think it's such a huge
No,
task. It's
it's
not.
not. And
So
if you prioritize meditation, like in a funny and strange way, you would have more bandwidth in your day. And I don't know how
mm-hmm.
that happens, but it's like the analogy of there's an empty jar, and then if you put small pebbles first, then you cannot fit the big rock at the end. But if you put the big rock first,
Oh, I love.
then all the small pebbles can fit in. So I see meditation as the big rock. Like if I prioritize this, everything else will fall into their own place.
I love that. I love that image. I'm gonna have to
No,
quote
I
you on
got it
that.
from somewhere, Stephen Covey or somebody.
Oh,
It's not my own.
so data driven. I'm like, I know I have a statistic somewhere in my brain about just like a small amount of meditation, a small amount of time meditating, and the impact it has on the rest of your day with focus, with energy, with just being at peace. So I don't have the statistic in me right now, but I know that it does have such a huge impact, like that visual you
Yeah.
just explained
And
to
then
us.
like why not experience it in your own life, you know, so that you have your own evidence. You don't have to rely on somebody else's data anymore. You can just experience it in your everyday life, like, oh, like this is working. This is actually working.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. So I'll ask you one more question, and then I could literally talk to you for hours. But so if you could tell your past self, like the younger version of yourself, one thing, what would a piece of
Uh,
advice be?
so many, but don't take everything so seriously because that's what I did. That's what I
Mhm.
still do. I'm aware of myself having the tendency now, but like earlier in my life, I didn't know that was my tendency. And
Mhm.
it made my life more challenging. I caused that because of that perception. Like everything has to be like so like taken seriously. But no, no.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't want to speak for you, but I know myself, I can relate to that and just feeling like everything determines your worth. Like I have to take this seriously because, just the ego gets in the way. It's like, oh, this means something about me if I don't do a good job. And I think we get caught up in performance all the time in society, and that's why we take things so seriously. And then in the grand scheme of things, like God forbid, when you're on your deathbed, you realize all those things didn't matter and you realize too late. And so what I thought of said that is like taking everything seriously. It's like your body's always tense. Like it really builds up. Sorry, my cat is making loud noises in the back. But your body tenses up, and then once you start meditating, you finally memorize what ease feels like in your body. You're able to loosen up, and I think that really, really comes to fruition when you are constantly tense and taking things seriously, and then you finally feel what it's like to just ease up a little bit. So that's kind of like the visual I
Yeah,
got when you were
we
saying
don't
that.
realize how much in fight or flight mode that we are in constantly. And we get used to it. You know, our body has a great ability to adjust to any environment that we are in. So over time, that becomes the norm, but it's not
Mm-hmm.
doing us a favor if a cortisol was always being pushed into our system. I mean, it's not gonna work in
Mm-hmm.
the long term, and I've been there. So,
Yeah, same. And that reminds me too, another benefit of meditation is the cortisol, because yeah, you could live a longer,
yes.
healthier life if you meditate, because your body, yeah, it'll get used to not having the cortisol, and cortisol is addictive. So
Yeah. Also,
yeah,
it slows
that's a huge benefit.
down the aging process. If that doesn't motivate you,
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know what else does.
love that. Yeah, no, definitely, definitely. Oh, well, I've loved the conversation so much, Masako. Thank you so much for dedicating a piece of your Saturday. I guess over there it's around noon-ish there. So thank you for dedicating so much time to speak here on Instagram. So just one more time so that people know where to find you. Your
Called Why
podcast
Not
is
Meditate. It's
Why Not
available
Meditate?
on anywhere, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, everywhere people listen to podcasts. And my Instagram is Masako Kozawa underscore painting. I also have a separate Instagram account dedicated to my podcast, and it's Why Not Meditate that podcast.
I don't know know if I followed that.
I
I need
just
to follow
recently
that. I didn't know
started.
you had that. Okay. Oh, that's a good idea. Okay. So follow that. And then your
Yes.
journal is on Amazon. You can just,
Yes.
or link in bio, also in your bio. I think we
Thank you
covered.
so much.
Is there anything else?
No, I think that's it. Thank you so much
Thank
for having me on, and it's always a pleasure to chat with you, Presh.
you as
Yes.
well. We'll have to do this again soon. All right. Well, have a beautiful, beautiful Saturday, Masako. And thank you everyone for
Thank you.
watching. Have a beautiful day. Love and care.